get on to adoption of the agenda. So folks had a chance to review that. Do we have any other revisions to the agenda needed at this time? Being none, I'll ask for a motion. Moved by Councilor Day, second by Councilor McDonald. Any further discussion on adoption of the agenda? Being none, all in favor? Motion carries. Next, we have a declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest. Do you have anything to declare? If not, we can move on. So I've been made to understand we only have Peter Schultz for about a half an hour tonight. So I wanted to just shuffle the agenda a little bit to ensure that we have him here for adequate time for item number 8.2 in case there's further discussion on this item is a carryover from the last meeting. So with the council's blessing, I'd like to jump ahead on the agenda to 8.2, which is the discretionary use for lot 47, block 20, plan 2319. And we have a detailed description of this item for this meeting. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to review in regards to the changes to the development plan for the lot at 177 Mackenzie Road, change to the design of the apartment building, and that requiring the need to do some creative parking planning. So I know this item was discussed by a number of councilors at the last meeting, but we wanted to allow more opportunity to have a review of this detailed information, provide some timeline on how things have developed, and see if there are further discussion needed on any of these particular items. So with that, we do have a couple motions on the floor. So maybe what we'll do is just to get one on the floor so we can open the discussion at that point. So the first motion we have for this item is a discretionary use approval. The motion reads that be it resolved that Inuvik Town Council hereby approves a discretionary apartment laundromat mixed use development at lot 47, block 20, plan 2319, 177 Mackenzie, on conditions that 1, suitable walkways be established on the south side of the new building. 2, conclusion of a design agreement between the town of Inuvik and the Inuvik Regional Corporation on IRC rebuilding an aesthetically pleasing minimum 2.2 meter wide sidewalk on the west side of Mackenzie between Inuvik and Veterans Way during construction of the new apartment building at 177 Mackenzie. But this says Inuvik here, I think supposed to be Mackenzie. So that'll read Mackenzie. 3, maintenance of existing walkways and driveways between the new structure, the staff housing, and the Mackenzie Hotel. 4, all parking stalls except middle aisle parking be provided plugins. And 5, that the parking plan be checked against fire truck turn-in requirements, and Mackenzie Hotel adopt a parking maintenance policy to prevent misparked vehicles as per section 6.6 subsection 2 G zoning bylaw 2583/P&D/15. Who would like to make that motion?
Just roll off the tongue.
Moved by Councilor Merrill, seconder Councilor Parrott. Any further discussion on this item from the last meeting? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. So the next motion for this item is motion 2, a multi-lot coordinated parking plan approval. This motion reads, be it resolved that Inuvik Town Council hereby approves a multi-lot coordinated parking plan for lots 47 and 48, block 20, plan 2319, 177 Mackenzie and 80 Inuvik, lots 31, 32, and 33, plan 228 Mackenzie Hotel, 185 Mackenzie, lots 34-1, 34-2, 35-1, 35-2, 130 Veterans Way, regarding section 5.14 subsection 2 zoning bylaw 2583/P&D/15. Can I have someone make that motion? Councilor Merrill, seconder Councilor Day. Any further discussion on this item? Councilor McDonald.
Yeah, what happened in the event that
So you just want to turn your mic on?
Oh yeah,
You're on.
sorry. That one of the properties gets sold Now, how does that affect the parking plan? Or how do we avoid that, I guess?
Come on.
Sorry, Your Worship, I didn't clearly hear the question.
Parking plan amendment is a bunch of different properties. Now, if we sell one of those properties, it changes the amendment, or it changes the whole parking plan itself. I'm just wondering, they're probably in the plan right now, but how do we avoid that situation?
I'm pretty in the spot here,
I can take a,
but I'll let Peter go first and see if it's doing it.
okay. Thank you, Councillor, for your question. The parking strategy would remain in force in the event that a lot was sold. And that is because the parking strategy is set up to include four factors. One is the former retail space now used for warehousing. The other is the staff housing. The other is the apartment, and the other is the hotel. And they'd be regarded as off-site, off-street parking that interrelate to each other. So, for example, if the warehouse was sold, the associated parking associated with that warehouse would remain in place. It would, under the bylaws, similar for any other of the portions of the lots that were sold. What would happen in an actual transaction is that these parking plans will be held on file for the different lots, and if a purchaser came along, they would see what the parking situation is, and they would determine whether that was acceptable to them or not, or whether they wish to form an agreement to with the seller to work through council to change the parking arrangement. So it'll be on the file regardless, and it will stay in force regardless of who owns the property. I can get into the world of adding caveats to mortgages, but I think that's too complicated in this situation, and I doubt very much that IRC is holding mortgages either. Hope that answers your question.
That does answer my question. Thank you, Peter. Right?
Thank you. Any further comments, questions on this item? If not, we'll call a question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Peter.
Council. Appreciate your flexibility in the time frame.
And with that being done, we can go back to the next item on the regular agenda, which would be item number 4, delegations. Our CMP reports. I have been told by Councilor Wynot was not able to make it tonight. So we do have the report on file. If there are any questions, we can obviously attend to that the next time they're able to make it. Next item, number 5, is public question period. Anyone on there have any questions? Seeing no public question period. Oh, sorry, delegations, presentations, petitions. Before we got to that, we do have some representatives here from Mackenzie Jamboree Committee, Justin and Bernice and Leanne. I do believe they wanted to speak to their request on item 8.1, or we can leave it until we get to that item, whatever council prefers. All right, then I invite Muskrat Jamboree to come to the table. They provided a bit of a handout they're going to go through with us. I'll turn it over to Leanne.
Thank you. I just wanted to start by thanking the council for allowing us to present today. I'm joined by our newly elected chairperson, Justin Carlson. He has taken over from Greta Sidachimney, who stepped down. So Justin will be our chair for the next 2 years. We also have our vice chair, Elizabeth Gordon, who couldn't make it. And then our secretary, Eileen Allen and Jada Kobiak, as well as myself as the treasurer. And for societies, we filed with 11 directors. So we have 11 directors on the Muskrat Jamboree Committee. to date. So I did hand out a presentation and I could go through it in detail, but I figured I'd just hit on the key points. Obviously, the Muskrat Jamboree has been around for a really long time, started back in 1957. A lot of history, a lot of cultural significance for the town of Inuvik and the communities, residents. The Muskrat Jamboree prides itself as well on being a zero tolerance event, so alcohol and drug-free event. Trying to really boost for the social wellness of the community and have fun without the need of any alcohol or drugs. And we really pride ourselves on being able to facilitate an event. It also brings together different cultural backgrounds. Last year, I think we had somebody all the way from Germany and Mexico. We do have events that are very inclusive and free for the most part, except for scooter races. And we hold this event over the 3 days. It's welcoming to everybody, and we try and include everybody as much as we can. On the third page, it goes over a bunch of events, and I feel that everybody around the room has hopefully partaken in some of these events, but we have quite a few events, and it takes a lot of logistics and work and hard commitment by the committee members and volunteers to make this event possible. I do want to point out that none of us are paid, so it's 100% volunteer based. None of us make any benefit or any income from being on the committee. I provided a financial overview. I thought this was really important, seeing as we come back every year for support by the town, and I think it's really important for the council to understand where we sit financially. This is a 5-year or 6-year spread. 20 and 21, I think, are a little skewed because those are the COVID years, so we didn't have a full jamboree. But the overall revenue that we generate is around the $170,000 mark. And that is usually with donations, although as you can see in last year and for what we're foreseeing for this year, the amount of donations that we're getting are becoming less and less. We're also having issues with ticket sales because we are competing with 3 other communities with ticket sales, and we're also having issues with getting, king and queen contestants, because it is a lot of hard work, and trying to find volunteers that are willing to commit their time to this event is becoming harder, but we are proud to say that we still have a very large volunteer base that helps us run the events. It's just trying to find ways that we can fundraise. We do still hold bingos. We're looking at different avenues that we can fundraise as well, taking up more bingos, changing some of our events, limiting our donations for bereavements, because last year I think we donated around 23 donation requests we received and were able to fund. But what we're noticing is that that's cutting into our bottom line quite a bit. And as much as we'd like to help the community with bereavement support, we just can't afford $30,000 a year to support community bereavement funds as much as we'd love to, because that is what is kind of putting us in the situation we are now. So running a deficit over the last 5 years, with the exception of 2023, which was if anybody remembers, Carmen and Brian raised a ton of money for us that year as a queen contestant. So that helped us offset some of the deficit we had accumulated from 21 and 22. But we're starting to see a gradual going back into the deficit. So our donation request to the town is very much needed and very much appreciated. And we're hoping we're still able to rely or at least have the support of the town for the in-kind donation requests of the facilities, as well as the 2,500 in the donation policy. I also added our last year's so that it breaks down a bit more, as you can see where where our money goes. As you can see from the charitable contributions, last year we donated 20,800. And that was all in bereavement. And we also donated to help support the Fish Derby, Fiddle and Flows, the town of Inuvik's Fiddle and Flow event. I think that was the one, but I don't know it. And yeah, We also run the Kitty Carnival, which costs us just under 20,000 every year. But it is a highly anticipated event for the kids in Inuvik. And so it's something that we really try and ensure that we have available funding for. And we also ensure that we also don't carry over any profits or revenue. So as you can see, we're having the opposite. We're not running a deficit. So again, yeah, very appreciative to allow us to speak today, and yeah, looking forward to the continued support and relationship that we've had with the town. I don't know if any of the other members in the group would like to add. No? Okay.
We covered.
Okay. Merci, Joe. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Leanne. Appreciate that. If we'll get into discussion when we get to the item, which will be coming up fairly soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, our next agenda item is the action item list. Oh, sorry, I'm getting ahead again. First, we have the item number 6, adoption of the minutes from the February 9th and February 11th, 2026 council meeting. We have a mover for those minutes, Councillor McDonald, seconded by Councillor Merrow. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favor? Motion carried. Now we're into action items. Which I don't think there's any significant updates since the last meeting, so I don't know if anyone has any particular questions about any of these items, but there's nothing really new being reported at this time. Seeing none, we'll get into 8.1, which is the 2026 Muskrat Jamboree request for donations. So as you can see, they have a summary here of all the different donations in kind and monetary that are being requested. As well as the value of what those in-kind donations are. So you can see a total estimated value of the requested donations, aside from $2,500 in cash donation, another about $6,500 in-kind donation for equipment and services. So with that, we have a motion proposed, which is be it resolved that Inuvik Town Council hereby approves an in-kind donation to the Muskrat Jamboree for the 2026 festival taking place from April 9th to 13th, 2026, to include the following: donation of the Roy Suglu Arena dry floor, sound system, portable stage, pipes and drapes, barricades, tables, porta potties, garbage bins, tables, chairs, extension cords, coffee pots, and teapots. Building maintenance assistance of Midnight Sun Complex staff during the festival at the MSC, as well as providing staff assistance to set up at the river site. The mover for that motion, Councillor Wainman, seconded by Councillor Parrott. Any discussion on this motion for request? Councillor Parrott.
Just first off to say thanks so much for running this event. It's such a wonderful component of our annual schedule here in Inuvik, and I know it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of commitment to keep doing it year after year, especially with some of the financials that we're seeing. So thank you for that. When we look at within an average year, the estimated value of what we're providing in donations, I'd be interested to know what percentage this is comparatively, because given the number of donation requests we're seeing, this isn't a large value, say, compared to GNAP or others. I think understanding more of how much we are giving away and to which groups may help us to better understand requests like these. But with that said, I am certainly in favor of this, and I'm happy to see this continue to move forward.
Thank you, Councillor Parrott. Councillor Merrow.
For $9,000, this is an incredible bargain. And then that's not counting the many, many hours that the group puts in. So thank you.
Any further comments or questions on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Motion carried. Again, I'd also like to echo the thank you to all the volunteers for putting on this event. It's obviously a pretty major one for the community every year that a lot of people look forward to for a long time leading up to it. So thank you very much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Great presentation.
All right, 8.2 we have already dealt with. The next item is 8.3, appointments to the Board of Revision. So in this one, we have 5 complaints that have come in on the assessment, so we need to appoint a board of revision to review those complaints. And we have a draft motion here stating, be it resolved that pursuant to the Property Assessment and Taxation Act, Section 3031 CP-10 RSNWT, the Inuvik Town Council hereby appoints Vince Brown, Chris Garvin, Judith Vanas, Stephen Odiasi, and Cheryl Greenland to the 2026 Municipal Board of Revision at an honorarium of $100 per half day and $150 per full day. I get a mover for that motion. Councillor Merrow, seconded by Councillor Day. Any questions or comments on this motion? If not, we'll call the question. All in favor? Motion carried. That's it for section 8. Next, we have section 9, which is our third reading for our bylaw to amend sewer and water administration, management, and operations bylaw. So again, this is third reading. Motion states, be it resolved that Inuvik Town Council holds third reading to bylaw number 2768/UTIL/26, being a bylaw to amend the water and sewer administration, management, and operations bylaw number 2657/UTIL/20 to establish a 90-day arrears period that initiates water service shutoff due to non-payment as recommended by the Finance Committee. I get a mover for this motion, please. Moved by Councillor McDonald, seconded Councillor Merrow. Any further questions on third reading? Seeing none, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we move into our item number 10, which is department updates. And our first one is protective services. Nice and concise. Tight presentation today.
I'm a little scratching this. I had been a bit, so I want to come in. Give you guys an update what happens with me. All right, so we're going to just go over stats first of all. So again, I started with this in December. Just we're pulling things from the Airtable so we can get automatic stats for pretty much everything now. And now we've got municipal enforcement as well. We need to build up some categories for municipal enforcement, but this is for the fire department. So year to date, as of end of last week, we had 28 calls for service. The vast majority of those were alarm calls. There's corresponding invoices associated with those as well. There's been a number of trouble spots for some technical alarm faults that has taken up an inordinate amount of time, but I think that there's an absence with one commercial landlord. They're back now, and I've already got a meeting set up just to discuss some of the problems that we've run into and some of the recurring issues. So hopefully we can reduce that. But in the meantime, they'll be paying us for our services. We like to just cover this number of weekend calls, so it's kind of not all of them, but a decent amount. Calls with more than one responder just kind of lets us know about like the amplitude of the call itself. So it could be mixed with duty officers, but typically if it's a straightforward alarm reset, just one person going out for that. If it's a little bit more complicated, that's where we're going to call in other people. We know that at least 12 of those 28, we have additional personnel for that. Our average time for response is still 5 minutes. We're pretty proud of that. And again, that's measured from the actual, not from the 911 call, but from our notification from our dispatch service to arrival on scene at the building itself. And then we've had out of that 4 fire incidents with that. Kind of break down one major incident, one relatively minor fire, and then a couple of vehicle fires with that as well. For municipal enforcement, so far we've been a really short staff with that. I'll get to that in the next page. Doing some training as well. One of the other things we did is we pulled out patrol stats on this. Because we moved over to the 2 scheduled patrols. So we're doing at least 2 scheduled patrols every single day. It ranges either morning, evening, or kind of like midday. But at least 2 out of those 3 times we're gonna be out there with at least one municipal enforcement officer. And then that's gonna drive the responses based on that as well. So 38 separate interventions where we actually dealt with a client or patient or dog or something else. we are pulling stats about how these are dispatched as well. So it's kind of a mixed bag between calls directly, like self-dispatch, if they notice it, they're driving along on patrol, they see an incident, they see a safety occurrence, and then they'll take care of that while they're out. Our on-call duty line, and then the municipal enforcement general line. We've seen a lot more coming through email as well, so we've been pushing a lot through MED and Inuvik.ca as well. And every now and then people just pop in through the front door. We're also breakdown by type of intervention. The vast majority of what we're going to be dealing with is animal control. Our pound is sitting pretty good right now. We only have 2 animals. We've had some pretty good fostering and movements down to the south as well. So again, that's reduced the staff interactions and staff time up there. Any questions about the staff before we move over to qualitative reviews? Right. So for Inuvik Fire, once we get that off the side. Broken it down just to IFB, MED, and then IT services. So we've, on our training side, we've got 4 personnel right now in 1033 Fire Investigator 1. It's an online course through the Office of the Fire Marshal. So it's a career staff taking part in that, and it just gives us more investigative abilities up there. Students have already completed that quite a while back. So we're doing our second level with that through the same provider. And then we'll have our full fire investigation credentials after that. We've got about 8 people enrolled in 1041 Fire Instructor. That's being supported by the Office of the Fire Marshal as well. We're running that internally. Within, I'm going to be teaching it myself. Myself and our deputy chief are going to be teaching this, and then we have the ability just to run it internally. So significantly reduced costs for doing that as well. In anticipation of the upcoming airport exercise, which is most likely going to be in the fall of 2026, we are doing some more airport training. So ROC A is basically Radio Operations Certificate Aeronautical. It allows us to talk on the airband radius. And combined with that, we're going to be doing the AVOP certification. So that's basically to go to the apron of the airport itself, and then we already have these already. We're just making sure we have more personnel that are required. And then we have our wilderness remote first aid renewal for our instructor renewal. So we did some co-teaches with that, the 3 of us that are doing our instructor recertification. It's just a 1-day research, it's pretty straightforward. We've been doing it for quite a while, and we have a good training partner in AMS to provide that. On the operations side, we've had at least 1 major incident, a fire that occurred at Airport Road. There was an injury involved in that, significant property loss as well. We were able to get fire control relatively rapidly. We had 1 minor fire that occurred just last Friday. Again, there was a very minor injury with that. The person was treated and released in the same day. And then we were also injured with that fire control, minimal damage. They kind of intersected the town infrastructure on the utilidor there. We coordinated with our friendly infrastructure and other departments just to make sure that was good. Both of those incidents, we had extreme temperatures we were dealing with. The first one in January, we were well below -40. It was easy for sure. On projects, so we've completed our air compressor installation just in time for the fire that occurred on Friday. We've opened up room into the back storage area. It basically needs some bracing and some new framing put in. We're going to be completing kind of the aesthetics of that afterwards. It opened up quite a lot more room. The new compressor, that's the one that was not damaged, but it just reached the end of its life last year. It did fail. We had a loaner for a while, but that's been swapped out. We have a new one in place now. We did complete wildland interface training with down in Fort McPherson. So we sent some instructors down to that. They had their fire department join us there, obviously, and we were able to teach them wildland urban interface skills, mainly concentrating around pumping. And then at the end of the year, we have 1 more event scheduled. We're bringing people in from around all the different communities in Beaufort Delta as well as Northern Wells, and they're going to come in and train with us at our training facility as well. And this is going to push into our renewal for the 2026-27 fiscal year. We're confident we're going to get renewal on this. It's a multi-year program. We're continuing on with training with our wildland urban interface coordinator. Any questions around fire operations and training? All right. So. Thank you. There we go. All right, municipal enforcement. So we completed our basic training with Donna Grubin. Thank you for the appointment and approving that the last council meetings. He's gonna be continuing on some more advanced training, use of force and other, things that we do within, the department. We've been, focusing a lot on derelict and abandoned buildings. So we've completed a follow-up for the letters the cleanup orders that we actually, put out. And we're engaging with contractors to complete the boarding on those properties as well. So last week they went out and did the final roundup, determined who complied, who didn't. And then we'll be going out to do that ourselves, and then, people, not ourselves, but through a contractor. And that'll be added, invoice to them, to the property owner, and if they choose not to pay that, it'll be added to their, tax account as per the bylaw. We revamped, spent quite a bit of time on our taxi renewal process. It used to be 5 separate forms that we would have to complete. We recently switched, to a job form enterprise account, so we've seen a lot of forms going out from various departments. That's through that, application. And it basically has a workflow, process as well, so it's significantly reduced the input both on the taxi operator side and on our side, to complete all the taxi renewals. So it's just a single online form that they complete now, and then it's electronic, scheduling and electronic payments as well, with that one. And then again, we're moving into patrol focus covered on focusing on snow cover, which include fire hydrants, access ways and other things where, snow wave and impeded signage and other things. We purchased these incinerator, sourced that out. It's, being built right now. We're expecting to get that within, I would say, another 6 to 8 weeks, anyways. And probably the biggest news within municipal enforcement, we're going to welcome Calix Morata. So Carl and Jade, his spouse, were unexpectedly pulled down to the south. But they have a healthy bouncing baby boy, and we are very, very proud of them. Any questions around municipal enforcement? Right. Then there's your IT. Oh, yep.
So I guess before we get off municipal enforcement, I was gonna wait to the end, but might as well do it now. I had a resident inform me of a very, I guess, unpleasant interaction with a taxi driver, which I guess became aggressive at one point. And I see on your municipal enforcement graph, you do have an item, taxi. I'm assuming that's included in there, and just curious, not to get any details, but that incident was reported apparently to municipal enforcement. And hopefully it's been investigated. And just when it comes up to taxi license renewals, do those types of things factor into the application consideration and review for those drivers that have complaints of that type?
Yes, they can. There's subjective factors to it as well. At the same time, we do our best to mediate those disputes or whatever they may be. What we typically look at for that is kind of acceptance of both sides. We haven't really, as far as I know, we haven't had any ongoing issues where there's been something open where both sides are completely dissatisfied. I'm not 100% certain about what you're referring to specifically. Definitely look into that and offline and look into it, but we may not necessarily inform, if we take, say, harsh action, we may not necessarily inform the complainant about the outcomes of that as well, just because that could be a judicial process, at least anything like that. But yes, it would have an impact with that as well. If there's significant complaints against somebody, there's a process with that. It's very clear in the bylaw about what they need to do in order to renew their taxi permits. So if there's multiple complaints and that have been sustained against them, yeah, that would have a major impact on their ability to do it.
Okay, yeah, and I guess it was basically boiled down to a dispute over fare. And I don't really take taxis, so I don't know, are the fares for the flat rate rides posted conspicuously within the taxi?
I know exactly which one you're talking about now. Yes, they are. Right now, it's basically the fare sheet. What we've done, we've actually ordered transparent stickers, I guess, like decals that are going to be put on the windows themselves. Right now, they're putting them in a different spot. What the bylaw says, it must be posted. Most of the time, it's a printout, a laminated copy, or something like that. It's pretty wordy. So when we redid it, it's focused on the actual fares up front and prominent. We based on a lot of stuff that I've seen in travels and other places and where there's a lot of taxi scams. I'm not saying that there's taxi scams or anything here, but it's become enough of an issue that we want to make sure that they're prominently posted on all the windows in the passenger area. So taxi drivers are going to be required to, we're going to give them out as part of the renewal process, and they're going to be required to post those right on both passenger side windows. That's the idea. And yes, the one that you were referring to has been adequately addressed as far as I know. So yeah.
Great, thank you. That's good to hear that that type of thing is going to be there. I think it's should hopefully resolve those ahead of time.
That's what we're thinking, so. All right, and then our IT, so we've started our needs assessment for server upgrades, so basically working with the different departments to determine what they need to live on the server, what can live in a cloud-based application, and what we need to basically do to replace our server. So we have that completed in terms of number of cores and memory and the amount of memory we need. We kind of got hit at a bad time because there's a worldwide shortage of memory sticks right now. We're waiting to see what that's going to look like. It's just brought the costs up. We're still within range on most of the quotations that I've received. But we're just kind of taking a look at the worldwide trends just to see what that's going to look like. You can thank AI for that. There's a lot of AI server farms, basically. They're snapping up all the memory across the world. We'll see where that is. We're definitely going to have it implemented within 2026. We completed our implementation of our mobile device manager. We're doing staff training on that as well. So basically, we've switched over to iPhones and tablets, like iPads across the board. We can track them. We can control to a certain extent what goes on them, and what they're used for. And it just makes it quite a bit easier for each department to maintain their devices. There's quite a mixed bag of it prior, but I think that this is going to be improving quite a few things. I know the infrastructure and rec have both implemented tablets in their facility reviews and reports, basically all their checklists and everything else. It's really streamlined the process, and it's helping integrate it into some of the software that they've implemented as well. So we're working on that just to train our technician on full implementation of that, so he can do most of the work around it. We are analyzing enterprise resource planning software right now, the acquisition behind that. So we basically what an interface that basically ties in all your software-based systems into one database, I guess I could say. Basically, we are working with Microsoft, expanding our Microsoft platform right now. Right now, we're in the Microsoft Entra environment, and it's basically expanding that with Microsoft Dynamics 365. So we're talking with them about implementation on that, what that looks like, how it interacts with Dayforce and the water software and Gear and everything else to make sure that everything works nice and swimmingly for everybody. We are also implementing multi-factor authentication. So basically, town staff to access their accounts will need to use a separate app. Through Microsoft. It basically is a one-time password, just increases the security around all of our network systems, and just make sure that we will be compromised through phishing attempts and things like that. And the last part is we are starting to implement pen testing. So basically penetration testing is looking at the security that we have in place and whether it works. So we actually kind of poke around in some social aspects as well. So it might be employing people to talk to other departments and other people around access password management, network security management, and things like that. So it's a recommendation of our insurance company. They would like us to implement it. It's kind of a fun thing to do just to see what we're actually, how we're securing things and just making sure that what we're putting in place really works. But so far, so good. On the right-hand side, you can see one of our newest acquisitions. We've purchased a 3D printer through Protective Services. I just built it. So far, so good. We're really happy that we got to use it on our compressor installation. We were missing an adapter for it. They were anticipating the connection that we had. So we were able to print it out, and instead of having to wait weeks to implement our air compressor, we printed that out, just did some measurements and with a caliper. Had it ready to go and tied into the system. So we purchased this so that we could implement this, we could do this. It's not going to replace firefighting equipment, but it certainly provides stopgaps if we have broken parts or other technology issues. It's open to any department within the town, so that if anyone else runs into problems, we can print parts and do other things. Pretty cool. That is it.
Thank you. Very thorough, as always.
Thank you.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We'll move on to 10.2, which is economic development and tourism.
Mine is going to be very quick. after the Sunrise Festival, that's where it's slowing down, so it's great. So what happened last month? So February 14th, we had the Arctic Market in cooperation with the IRC Cultural Weekend. That went very, very well. They had workshops going on as well as handing out local food. It was very popular. The average sales was $6,000 for vendors, noting that 3 vendors made over $1,000 on that day. And of course, there was the IRC Cup. So we're planning Tourism Week happening April 20th to the 24th, partnering with, of course, local organizations, as well as putting together some activities for tourists, although in April, but yeah, local people. ADE, we have the website running, the registration is open. We have so far 23 people registered, 5 sponsors, as well as 5 booths secured. The schedule is pretty much done. I'm working closely with Peter, and we're just waiting on a few last speakers, but it's looking great. Right now we have also a discount, 20% discount, with a special code. And if you're around the table and if anybody listening would like to, we can email tourism@inuvik.ca to get it. The team is going to Vancouver this week to the Outdoor Consumer Show to promote the town, February 28th to March 1st. We also have a presentation. We got selected to do a presentation on the Best Canada stage on March 1st at 12 o'clock. Again, promoting the town. And we'll have a draw every 2 hours with crafts that were purchased from local crafters, Inuvik, Tuck, Aquatic, McPherson. Finally, also within 3 weeks, we'll have a business directory on our websites. We'll have to configure that, but it should be running within 3 weeks to advertise a new business in town. And finally, of course, you met Emily that joined our team at last council meeting. She's already done great things, and I gave a little boost on the tourism side of things. We had almost 2,900 interactions with only 1 post on the tourism page of Facebook. So yeah, she's picked up very, very quickly, and we're very happy to have her on board. And that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the Department of Economic Development and Tourism? Thank you. Move on to infrastructure.
Good evening, councillors. Just a quick update from the Department of Infrastructure. We're currently still in the off season in terms of construction, so there's no big capital project items to speak about, but I do have a couple of slides here that I want to share. So in terms of capital projects, the solid waste side, the electric fence, it's over 80% complete. The welding of the brackets is, we hope to have that completed this week. And the power connection to the solar CCAN was also completed today. So the whole idea with that would be to have this ready before spring. So tentatively, I'm hoping we can get this done before the first week of April, so that the fence itself is energized and all that, and to obviously prevent the birds from getting in there. Shared infrastructure building. So we do have current conversations going on with D&D, and the mayor is pretty much leading that conversation. And the whole idea is to have a shared infrastructure building with the Department of Defense, which will be shared with the Rangers and all that crew there. And currently we're looking at 2 different sites. So one either at King Road or at the cold storage lot on Veterans Way. So we're still in very early stages of those conversations. But obviously, if they decide to go ahead, we'll be looking to build a warm storage building that we could potentially use for cold storage, vehicle storage bays, shop, and a couple of offices. In terms of operation, so Shell Lake Road, we had that request about the civic addressing for all the residents on Shell Lake. So that we have completed internally what that should look like following our addressing policies. And this week, we do hope to have letters delivered to all residents of Shell Lake, what that will look like, so we can get their feedback. And based on what that looks like, or based on the feedback we receive, that will determine next steps in terms of how we proceed with liaising with the GNWT geomatics to update the emergency response and database and the maps. So hopefully by the end of this, by Wednesday, Thursday, those letters will be delivered to their homes, and we'll give them about 2 weeks to respond, to see if they like exactly what we're putting forward, and then we'll make a decision from that. What's new, what's coming up? Like I said, the electric fence, the plan there will be to have that done latest by the beginning of April. We have a meeting now scheduled for March with the stakeholders. That's ECC, the hunters and trappers, to discuss the bear fence and public education, and making sure everybody in town is aware of what's happening there. The cemetery expansion as well, the plans and the map, and improved map. It's also getting put together. And in speaking with the contractor, actually, because we're really running out of space in terms of where we are at. When speaking to the contractor, one of the ideas we're probably currently thinking about is making use of the roads, because those roads will probably not be useful once that's all filled up. We'll probably leave the major roads on either side, and then fill up the roads that we currently have in between the different cells there, to try to maximize space. And obviously, we have a planned extension to the left of that image. And yes, we acquired the whole lot anyways from Department of Land. So we have a lot of room, but we just need to plan how that expansion is going to go. That's about it. Thank you for your time. Question?
For infrastructure. Councilor McDonald.
Thanks. Was there any update on, I know you updated us a while ago, but on the MNC solar energy storage building?
Oh yeah, so the batteries are in Canada now.
They are.
Yes. So they arrived. They arrived in January to Vancouver, and the last time I had spoken to them, they were still trying to clear customs. So it is in Canada, and then the whole idea was it's going to be sent out to the East Coast for testing and stuff like that. That's who they have a contract with, and then from there to be brought to Inuvik. So the current plan obviously is we were able to get an extension with the federal government in terms of the funding, because the funding expires March 31st. So we did request an extra year, which now means, because they were thinking of the risk of shipping the battery up in the cold weather, and what that could do. So with that in mind, the plan now is to energize the panels and start generating power, which in terms of the schedule, that's supposed to happen end of this month to the middle of next month. So that we can actually start generating power pending when the best system will get tested and shipped up and installed. So, but the battery is not here.
Okay. So what is the tentative schedule for delivery to Inuvik?
I would have to look that up, but I do have an updated schedule from them.
Okay. Yes, but they want to turn on the power or the panels already to catch this spring's.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilor Perry.
Thanks for your update. Around this time last year, you provided an update for permafrost monitoring on the Midnight Sun complex site and around it. Should we expect to see an update for this year soon?
Yes.
Thank you.
Nice and succinct answer. Any further questions for infrastructure? If not, thank you, Daniel. We're gonna move on to 10.4, Inuvik Works.
Good evening, council and co-staff.
I have the Inuvik Works report this evening. And I just want to start with some quantitative information. So we continue to divert a lot of items from the landfill through the next to new store. And we're close to 20,000 pounds diverted. And our sales after this have been a little bit down, only $4,648 last month. So it's a little bit down to what it was previously in the summer and fall. And we've had 2 crew members complete their small vessel operators course. So it was a week long, and they completed that. So that was Alfred Kennedy and Stanley Gordon. And we had 6 people who completed the Northern Host course with ITI. So last time I presented, one of the counselors had asked about funding and what we were working on currently for funding. So you'll see that a proposal has been submitted to the Department of EC&E for one of the major pots of funding that we got for this fiscal year. We've also submitted some smaller proposals to places like the anti-poverty funding through the GNWT. You'll see the numbers that you may recall from as money comes in, I report what has come in, and you'll see there's quite a selection of funding that we've got from all kinds of places for the current fiscal year that we're in. So the Inuvik Works fiscal year operates on the GNWT because a lot of our funding comes through there. So a lot of our funding goes until the end of March. And so that's why we're just starting to apply for funding starting for April. Some of the highlights, so 6 crew members attended a literacy project. We got some community literacy funds from the GNWT, and we went out to Reindeer Station, and one of the community counselors joined us, and we did focused on a lot of tasks that we don't necessarily get to do in our small building across the street there. And so the staff received the training and the interactions really well, and they've been asking for more of that type of training. So we'll be looking for some funding in the future to do that kind of training, some more of that. And then we had 19 community members who were enrolled in the basic trades and home repair workshop. So we had 3 facilitators who shared their knowledge. We had women from around the community and a couple from other communities in the Beaufort Delta that joined to learn about small motors. So they worked on skidoo and chainsaws, and one on vehicle maintenance. So they worked on our little Inuvik Works truck, and one that did home maintenance, and NWT Housing donated the use of one of their units for the day and gave us the rights to print a copy of their homeowner's manual, maintenance manual, to use in the course. And so, again, well received. All of the evaluations were raving how well the courses went and how much they learned. So what we've accomplished, connection with the community counselor for the group, which is something that was one of our big goals on our actions for this current term that we're in. Staff have been very satisfied with the trainings we've offered. We've offered a lot over the last little while. We've also been able to offer community members training. So if we have spaces and courses we're offering, we offer it to other people in the community that may not be able to access training on their own. So we've been able to offer training to a few community residents. And organizations that have hired us have been very pleased with the support we've given them, and the elders rave about the crew. I get phone calls every day from elders that the crew has supported about how they appreciate the crew. And as you might remember, the crew over the cold season has been out there every day shoveling walks, taking garbage out for the elders who don't want to leave their house to the garbage bin, and just checking in on them, chatting with them, making sure they're okay. So what's coming up? So we're working on career plans for each of the crew members for what they'll do after March 31st. We have a computer refurbishing training coming up, and working with the Inuvik Tech Society and a contractor in town and Inuvik Works. We're thinking of being the next to new store may become a place where people can purchase refurbished computers. And so we're getting some of our crew members trained in how to do that. I will be attending a mentorability meeting in Winnipeg, March 24th to 27th. Mentorability had their funding renewed for the 26-27 fiscal year. So it looks like our hub in Inuvik will be funded because they're taking me to Winnipeg. I assume they're gonna give us another pot of funding for the next fiscal year. And just a quote from one of the nonprofits that we've worked with there on the bottom. So we're coming to the end of our 1 year of operation. Any questions for me about Inuvik Works?
Board of the council, any questions? Councilor Merrill.
How many participants have taken part, Patricia?
So 12. We have 4 that are fairly steady and have been there pretty much from the start to the finish. 1 maybe give or take, but is still hanging in there. And then we have some that have rotated through, and some that we've just added now. So yeah, so about 12. Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. It's really good work.
Yeah, and then we have probably a half a dozen that have been on the training roster and have been taking some training with our crew, but we don't have money to hire them, but we can give them training. Yeah.
Excellent.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Good works. Next, Parks and Recreation, 10.5.
Oh, sorry, guys.
Good evening to Deputy Mayor and Council. Thank you for having me to speak tonight. It's always a tough one following up Patricia's presentation with all the good work that she does, but I'm going to give it my best anyway. So, I'd like to start with by the numbers. One of the things I wasn't able to fit into the charts is a question that Councillor McDonald had last time. He inquired kind of how much of the squash courts being utilized throughout the week and things like that. So going back over the numbers through December and into January, we see about 6 to 8 hours of call-in or scheduled use throughout the week. So that's people calling ahead and booking 1 or 2 courts and spending the hour in there. Obviously, some of that is going to be skewed by the Christmas season and people taking holidays and things of that nature. But we also see another 3 to 5 hours, typically on the weekends, of spontaneous play. So people will come up to the counter and, hey, is there a squash court available? I'd like to utilize it. And so that's where that factors in. The first chart there on the left-hand side is our average number of swimmers per swim. And so just a couple of key points there. We can see some of our most popular events are our family swims, our teen swims, and our public swims. We see our largest number of participants during those times, as well as during rentals. We typically average about 18 people per rental, which means good activity for get lots of people out. Moving to the middle chart there is the library users broken down by age category. So if you can't see at the bottom there, the large gray portion representing 73% of our users is the adults that come and utilize the library. And in speaking with staff, we typically see a large number of those folks throughout the day and then into the evening. Obviously, with work and things like that, they are able to sneak away and utilize the facility that way. Kids is the yellow portion, and so a lot of that comes from our scheduled programming and things like that. We see a large increase of kids on the weekends when there is programs and other things running at the library. Teens, we get 64 throughout so these are representative of a whole month. So this is for the month of January. So we saw 64 teens representing 5% throughout the month of January. Not a ton of programming for teens. So this is more spontaneous use. They're coming in, checking out books, utilizing the computers, that sort of thing. But in talking with the library staff, they are looking to kind of cater to that demographic a little more and add some programming onto them. That tiny little slice right there at the top, representing 1% of the total numbers, but is skewed a little bit, is the new users. So over the month of January, 12 new users that haven't been part of the library before, got their library card, checked out some material. So we always like to promote those numbers and make sure folks in the community know that the library is there. It has a lot of great resources. And so we hope to see that number to continue to climb in the coming months. The chart on the end is our revenue generated by the fitness center, broken down by membership type. And so in total, we generated $11,786 just from our memberships for the gym. So something we don't necessarily have to promote. People are just getting their memberships and utilizing the gym. The two biggest figures there, the gold bar in the middle represents our 3-month memberships. And we sold 32 of those for a total of $4,200. And on the left side of that, in the light gray, is our 1-month fitness memberships. We sold 53 of those, representing $2,782. One interesting fact, or one thing that I noticed in these figures versus going back over previous months, is the distribution towards the 3-month membership is starting to become stronger. So normally we sell about 70-ish 1-month memberships. That's dropped to 53, and it looks like those numbers have then shifted over to our 3-month membership. I'd like to think that's indicative of some of the improvements we've made to the fitness center and some of the things that we're doing. That way people are choosing to stay with us longer, choosing to get healthier and choose longer term memberships. On that note as well, we did sell 4 annual memberships in January. And so that represented almost another $2,000. Looking back on what we've been doing since Christmas, lots of great things. In the top right corner there, you can see our enthusiastic boot camp and instructors. That picture is actually from the free fitness event before it got started on February 19th. So they had 12 participants come to that event. It was a chance to come and see what boot camp itself is about, but in a no pressure learning environment. And so hopefully a number of people that took part in that continue to stick with boot camp throughout the rest of the year. As Charlotte mentioned, we had the IRC Cup along with the cultural events that came with it and the Arctic Market. It was a fantastic event, obviously very well attended. I think the community was happy. I think I'm still flying high from it. IRC was a fantastic partner to work with during that whole event. And like I said, I think it went really well. On that note, the picture on the top left is one of our resident facility maintainers, Kenny Sendler, who simultaneously was trying to play in the tournament as well as trying to sharpen everybody's skates because he's known as one of the top skate sharpeners. So that is him taking some time in between games in full gear to sharpen one of the patrons' skates. And so I thought that was just a great representation of how everybody pulls together for the weekend and helps make it a great success that it is. And we're already looking forward to the next one next year. In the bottom left-hand side, thank you to Director Tacoma for letting me have this one. The members of the infrastructure team undertook some renovations within the community lounge kitchen. So pulled some cupboards out, removed the old freezer, put some new paint in there. and just tried to give it a little bit of a facelift as we've done with the Sundog room and other spaces within the facility. It turned out really well. We got some amazing feedback on that, and we're just hoping to grow and continue with that. Off of that, we had a number of school groups join us. We received some funding from the NWT RPA for the Swim to Survive program, excuse me. So they came in and took part in lessons, and that was great because it allowed us to provide them at a low cost to the school groups, while still providing some of those instructional swim lessons that they can carry on. Thanks to the council donation as well, we hosted the Inuvik Speed Saving Clinic, which was similar to the Inuvik Minor Hockey School, where they brought up some prominent former figure skaters and some coaches and worked with the team in town, helping them improve their skills and teaching them coaching methods and things. So that was another really successful event. And then immediately following the close of IRC Cup, we flipped to the IRC Health and Wellness Youth Summit, and that is the picture in the bottom right there. Although that wasn't one of an event that we necessarily had a whole lot to do with, I thought it was worth mentioning as it targets the youth in the community, and we always want to be successful with that. Looking forward into what we got going on here in the next little bit. Currently, we have the Arctic Char Summit that'll start tomorrow and Wednesday in the community hall. That's a 2-day event. They have the whole facility booked out. So it's always good when the facility's busy and there's lots going on that way. We have the NHL Alumni Games scheduled for March 3rd. That is through the First Assist Hockey School. The same group that came up and did the Inuvik Minor Hockey School. This is going to be a little bit smaller event, but looking forward to hosting that in the facility as well. Below that, we have our former aquatic supervisor, Shandy, coming back. She's working through an arm of her private business, and she's coming up to provide a number of first aid certification courses. They will be available to the public, so make sure you keep your eyes out for communications going out about those shortly. Be a first aid research, so those are 1-day courses for anybody that currently has their first aid that's not expired. Those will take place on March 6th and 10th. And then the longer 2-day course is scheduled twice throughout the time that she's up here, both the 12th and 13th and 16th and 17th of March. So if anybody's looking to do that, please feel free to get in contact with the front desk and we'll get you registered and point you in the right direction. Something on the rec side of things, we're going to be hosting one kind of final glow skate on March 7th. Obviously, we're not quite ready to close the arena yet at that point, but with bookings and Twitching Cup and other things, we wanted to make sure we got that in there. So that'll be a free event for kids and families to come down, skate in the dark, enjoy some glow sticks, the music playing. It's always a super popular event. So we're looking forward to hosting that. Another event coming through town here in the next month is the Northern Lights Ultra Marathon. That's going to be March 21st and 22nd. And I do believe the finish line is down on the river. If anybody's interested in seeing that, people come a long ways to compete in that. And so I wanted to make sure they got credit for that. Obviously, it'll be a busy weekend for everybody that weekend. Twitching Cup, it will be taking place from March 19th to the 22nd. So looking forward to having another super successful tournament. Looking forward to having them. And everybody's maybe not favorite time of the year. The arena ice removal will begin March 23rd. Takes us a couple weeks to get that out and get cleaned up. And that's in anticipation of the Muskrat Jamboree using the dry pad surface. And that will be taking place from April 9th to 13th. One thing that we're working on that doesn't necessarily have a set start date just because of Muskrat Jamboree and some other things taking place in the arena is our recreation coordinator, Lori, is looking to start facilitating an indoor walking program. And although April, we're starting to get out of kind of the winter weather and things like that, we're still into mud season. And we wanted to provide a space for community members to come and walk in what would be an otherwise underutilized space that is the arena dry pad. So we're going to start that. That will be a free event and it will be open to all community members. There may even be some free coffee during that time. So as with that, keep your eyes out for communications and information going out about that. And we hope to see lots of people out of there. We've been in talks with local group homes, hoping that they can bring some of their residents to get that physical activity in. So lots of stuff on the calendar and looking forward to it. Does council have any questions?
Good.
Thank you, Trace. Any questions for Parks and Recreation? Councilor Perry?
As always, great job, Trace, and wonderful update. Just linked to one of the agenda items, as I mentioned earlier this evening, it would be wonderful to see a 2025 summary of in-kind connected to your facilities. Because I think that'll give us a really good backbone to assess future in-kind. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Parks and Recreation? Seeing none, we'll move on to Corporate Services. We're going to take a chair.
Good evening, everyone. This is presentation of corporate services. Quantitative updates. Not much has happened in the capital projects area of things. This is the capital projects report as of February, on Wednesday, February 18th. The reports were distributed alongside other reports that were sent earlier. So it's just kind of a highlight. As of Wednesday, February 18th, out of an annual capital budget of 11.67 million, we've only spent just 50,000, and that's in view of the time of the year. Not much is being done at this time, so that's just a short one. Operating expenses variance report for January 2026, as at February 18th. From the report, we see that the total revenue for the period, that's for January, was a little bit below $400,000. And for items that are just over 50,000, I just highlighted them. Development permit, we got 60,000 from development permit, and most of the rest is from utilities. The total expenses for January is 1.4 million, mainly payroll and electricity and heating bills. The deficit of 1.03 million, which was kind of budgeted for anyway, so it's not unexpected. So at this time of the year, funding we don't have most of our funds coming from April. So even though the government's fiscal year is April to March, they give us our funding between April and December. So they start funding us from April. And property taxes revenue also starts from like March, April. So that's why you see revenue, it's kind of low at this time of the year. There are more notes in the reports that were sent earlier. Now I'll just go through them. If you look at the operating budget variance report, we have the revenue items. I don't think you have it.
I have them stop sharing this with them.
You can stop sharing. You can put it.
Sorry, which one was it?
The other one.
The budget versus actuals, or?
Yes, yeah. Okay, this one. Just look it up a little bit again.
Thanks, Jen.
Okay, so overall, I've already talked about the total actual, so line by line, we have some notes there. For note one, we have a deficit of 16%, minus 16%. And that's mainly because less revenue was earned compared to what was expected for Energy Insight program. Those are just entries based. We have all the funds already given to us, and we tend to just project it over a period of time. So what we projected was much less than the expense, but that's not, in terms of whether the funding is available, we have it already. The second note is it's a deficit of minus 42% under infrastructure environmental. That's due mainly to tipping fees document for January not yet received. Many times we get the information a little bit late from the vendor. We're trying to work on that. It skews the report at times. And note 3 is 63% positive for economic development and tourism. And that's due to positive variance mainly from Sunrise Festival revenue and adverts on Inuvik Guide. To have more than what was budgeted for. And then utility operating revenue, there's a note 4 there. There's a deficit of 11%, $20,000. And that's, we've had less water and sewer revenue, mainly from residential and commercial government compared to budget. So that's why that's a deficit there. If you look at item 5, we have a deficit also of $10,000 minus 20% for parks, recreation, and leisure. And we're short there because there's a facility rental invoice for January that was processed in February. So for Lil Eva, there's some areas that we have started to get from them, and that area started from February. But our projection for the budget was from January. So in February, we're going to have a positive variance, hopefully there, because we have agreed that the areas will be spread over 10 months. So that's about $10,000 every month, thereabout. And then on to the deficit from library. We've not received, so that's note 6, which is contribution agreement. Not received contribution agreement yet, but we've spent things already. And then note 7 is fiscal, where we have operations and maintenance, where we have gas tax and lottery. We have a positive variance 50%. We have received more than we anticipated in bingo license and raffles. That's responsible for that. And on the expense side, we also have about 4 notes, 17% positive variance for protective services, which is as a result of the fact that, well, most budgeted expenses for January have not been incurred, but the revenue has come in. And we have 99% for infrastructure and environment. And that is solid waste collection and disposal invoices for January have not yet been processed. So that's as a result of timing difference, mainly in processing of some of those invoices. And then we have parks and recreation and leisure. We have a positive variance there of 12%, which is note 10. And it's also related to most budgeted expenses for January have not yet been incurred. So we'll find that we have some revenue items without them not being spent yet. And the last one is under library. Negative variance in library is due to heating and subscription expenses. So we have more in heating expenses than was budgeted for as of now in library expenses. So these are mainly what we have on the operating side. If you look at the last part of that report, it's just for information purposes only because it's capital related, and the capital report has more detail than what you have in the operating report. So usually I would say don't focus on that capital area unless you have questions in that regard. But because this is more information on what have been spent so far and what is yet to be spent. Can we go back to it? Or can we get questions from this one?
Any questions on the variance or the capital report? I would just note, Stephen, your note 10 and 11 seem to be not like it was missing. This thing is just on the next page and it might have just not got scanned on the variance report.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so just,
I have it here. Okay, the printed area.
Yeah, so just
Yeah, it doesn't get to
to
it.
double check we have all the notes just to cross-reference some of those. Thanks.
I'll note that. This slide. Okay. Okay. Qualitative updates are what we accomplished. 1.6 million gas tax funding for 2025 was eventually received in January, leading to a strong cash flow until April. Like I said, we're not going to get a lot of money between now and April, but with the gas tax fund, we have enough cash flow that will take us into April before we start getting the regular monthly amounts. Q4 community public infrastructure and gas tax report have been sent to markup. We're just waiting for their review and response. What's coming up? External auditors are expected on March 2nd, next week, Monday. So we're working round the clock to finalize our 2025 financials this week and send it to them before the week runs out so they can start putting their schedules together and all of that. 2026 auction is scheduled for March, property auction scheduled for March 16th here in the council arena. And we intend to update our accounting system with the new rates approved by council so that it can start taking effect from January 19th date. We're in talks, in terms of training, we're in talks with Marquardt Community Government Learning and Development Unit on cost-effective training and online resources for our staff. As you know, we just recruited a new finance officer and we need some accounting and other training for her and some other people in the team. And then we're looking at also Maze, our accounting system, training in some tricky and complex areas, which then to throw some of our books as we're trying to prepare for the auditors, we noted that some things should not be in certain areas, and that's because our staff have not really mastered some tricky, complex adjustments to utilities and property taxes. So we're trying to schedule some trainings for them to get up to date in that. So that's where we are at right now.
Stephen, any questions for corporate services? Okay. Seeing none. We have 10.7 student representative, but I've been told she's not able to make it today. She's involved in something else tonight, so she's likely going to provide her student report at another meeting. With that, we're up to item number 11, information items. We had nothing in the package, and I'm not aware of any specific information items to make you guys aware of. I don't know if anyone else might have any. Seeing none, item 12 is council concerns. Any council concerns to share tonight? Seeing none, item 13 is in-camera items, of which we have none, so therefore, for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Counselor Merrill,